What's going on, guys? It's Brandon back here again today for another not BFR video. We have a trade video. I mentioned in the previous video, the BFR with San Jose, that a trade video will be coming out because the Hawks have made some trades prior to this year's deadline, and the big headline today was that Sam Lafferty and Jake McCabe are now members of the Toronto Maple Leafs. So we'll go through all the trades that they've made so far since the arguably start of the deadline. So we'll go now. We have everything Chicago's acquired on the left side, everything that the other teams that they've traded with have acquired on the right. We'll go through it. It's also in order of the date, that going from the most recent to farthest away from this date. So today, on February 27th, the Chicago Blackhawks traded Sam Lafferty, who is 27 years old, and in 51 games this season has 10 goals, 11 assists, 21 points. Essentially the Brandon Hagel of last year, just not as good, but he's played well. He's a great penalty killer, and I think Toronto's really getting something here where they have Achari and now they have Lafferty. Then Jake McCabe, who is 29, 55 games played, 2 goals, 18 assists, 20 points for a defensive defenseman. Isn't too shabby at all. $2 million retained, so 50% retained on that salary, along with conditional 5th-round picks in 2024 and 2025. So, for first, Toronto, this is an all-in move. They've already brought in O'Reilly and Achari. They've now brought in Lafferty and McCabe. I don't think they're done. Judging by what's been now said about Kerfoot, of him being on the market, they could be open to bringing something else in. We'll see. If you want to get the guys to stick around like Matthews and Nylander and Marner, we're gonna see. I wonder if we're gonna see more now all-in pushes every year. Sorry about that. But back to Toronto, I was wondering if we were going to see all-in pushes now every year, because it was rumored that Toronto wasn't going to be all-in this year. At least that's what Dubas said. Lo and behold, they've now acquired 4 players who are lineup players and should be in the lineup. Who this pushes out of Toronto's defenseman core, who knows at this point? Because they have Liljegren, they have Sandin as a pair, they have Riley and Brody, or I'm not sure how the pairs go, but Riley, Brody. You have Giordano as well, and then you have Justin Hall. Jordy Ben was waived. We'll see. You've got some injuries on the back end as well, but they have a lot of guys they could plug in. So McCabe's stepping into a not as big of a role in Chicago. He's going to be a probably top 4 defenseman, so we'll see. The Hawks acquire a young guy in Joey Anderson, who in 14 games this season, 2 goals, 1 assist, 3 points. He's 24 years of age. Pavel Gogolev, who has never played in the NHL, or at least anyone who doesn't have any numbers next to their name hasn't played in the NHL this season. I'm not sure that there's some have played in the NHL, just not this season. But we'll get to that when we get to it. So Pavel Gogolev, who's 23, a conditional first-round pick from 2025 and a second in 2026. I didn't put the conditions up here because it's basically just a first-round pick. So the Hawks getting that first-round pick, they now have two first-round picks in the next 3 years, this year and next year's with Tampa, and then in the future with in 2025 with Toronto. So we'll see. In the second in 2026, acquiring assets for the future. That's smart. We'll move on to the... all right. So, and then my thoughts on this trade. I think that, judging by the Tanner Jeannot trade, that Tampa gave up the entire draft class for, you could say from that, Chicago got fleeced. However, I like this move for both teams. The first-round pick and the second-round pick in the future are the big things here, planned for the future. Joey Anderson, maybe the Hawks can work with him and turn him into something. He was a highly thought-of prospect a little while ago. He's 24 now, so we'll see. For Toronto, they get Sam Lafferty and Jake McCabe. It's moves for an all-in push. A couple fifth-rounders that are conditional, but they really don't matter in the grand scheme of things. Moving on to the next most recent trade, we have with Colorado. It was a 1-for-1 deal. Jack Johnson, who is 36 years old, 58 games this season, no goals, 4 assists, 4 points for Jack Johnson with Chicago, is traded back to Colorado after signing with the Hawks after winning a Stanley Cup with Colorado in the previous season. He was on that championship team there. Goes back to Colorado now. And Andreas Englund, who, because of injuries in the Colorado lineup, has played a good amount this season. 36 games played, no goals, 3 assists, 3 points. Nothing much there. He's 27 years of age. Just a guy. He exists. I don't know what else to say other than that. Moving on to the next trade, the most minor of the deals. with Anaheim, so Hunter Drew comes Chicago's way. He's 24 years of age, has only had 2 NHL games and not even this season. Josiah Slavin goes the other way, 24 years of age as well. He had 15 games last season with 1 assist. And he hasn't played in the NHL this season, but just a minor league deal basically with Anaheim. And probably the second biggest and the least recent of the deals is the one with Ottawa, who acquires future considerations, who has now been traded in unimaginable hundreds of times at this point in the history of the NHL. Like, someone legally changes their name to future considerations, then it's going to mess everything up. That's all I'm saying. So in that trade, the Hawks got Nikita Zaitsev, who was 31. This was purely a cap dump for Ottawa. 28 games this season, no goals, 5 assists, 5 points. Common theme is that a lot of these guys don't have goals, no goals, or just no games. But he's 31 years of age. He's got the remainder of this year, and then I believe next year on his 7-year deal that Lou Lamoriello signed back with Toronto back in 7 years ago, would be from 2017 maybe. I think 2017. That would be so a long time ago. He has $4.5 million cap hit until next year is what I wrote down here, so I assume that's what it is. But yeah, just smart pickup for Chicago, recruiting assets as they get a 2023 second rounder and a 2026 fourth rounder. Once again, futures. Excellent move for Chicago, because any picks coming in the door, it's worth a bad contract, which you don't even have to worry about money because you're not trying to be good. So yeah, that's my thoughts on all of the trades that have been made. Lafferty and McCabe, the big one. Zaitsev coming to Chicago. These two in the middle, not really that major. Jack Johnson was playing a top 2 role here in Chicago, so now he's going to a team where he's probably going to play a bottom 2, 7th defenseman role. And the end of his career is showing up as right around the corner, so my best wishes to Jack Johnson. Glad he could stop by in Chicago, although he's been a meme for a lot of his career. Love the guy. He's a great guy, great family guy, just great guy to have around the locker room. So, yeah, that's my thoughts that's what the Hawks got out of all these trades. And from these 4 alone, you got a first, 2 seconds, a fourth, some younger guys that really don't work into the grand scheme of things. But they've also did get a bunch of stuff from the previous earlier in the Riley Stillman trade, who was just traded to Buffalo from Vancouver in the Dickinson trade. They have Vancouver second, Ottawa second this year, along with their second, 2 first. One of them is Tampa's. I believe they have another 3rd-round pick as well. I don't remember who it's from, but yeah, that's really all I have for you guys today. So 2 videos today, but thank you guys so much for watching. Game against Anaheim, the BFR should be up tomorrow, hopefully. Maybe it's a late one. It's a 9 o'clock one, so just going to be loving watching that. But I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I shall see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.